Good evening, folks, and welcome to the Six Figure Developer channel. It is Live Coding Live Stream Wednesday. Tonight we are going to work on some personal projects. We are going to pull back out the Triple Derby project. Triple Derby is an online horse racing simulation game modeled after an arcade game from years ago that I had discovered in a local establishment called Derby Owners Club, I think. This is a project that we've used to test out a various number of different coding styles, coding challenges, project structures, all the like. So currently we've got the code in a GitHub repo, actually a couple of GitHub repos. One for the UI, which is in React. There's not a whole lot there. And the other API is in an API repo. We'll drop that in chat. So if anyone wants to follow along, wants to contribute, we'd love to have you contribute. It's a .NET 5 API project, and we're going to try to make some progress on this today.
I just want to point out, I landed really good.
You did. Did you learn how to cheat from Wes? Is that?
I wish.
Yeah, so chat, feel free to play the drop game, join us. If you want to join the live share, if you're nice, we might share the link. Maybe not. We'll see. We do share the GitHub repo, so if you want to contribute, we'd love to have you and share your contribution as well. Ash is joined in the live share, so he can look around. I do have everything up and running in the Dockers locally. I do not have SQL Server on the machine, but I do have a container with the database in it. Running a couple of little fun things, Seek and Redis. I don't know that we're actually caching anything in Redis just yet. And an integration test project will run at the startup of the Docker containers.
And it feels like it's been a while since we've worked on this.
It has, which is why I'm kind of stumbling a little bit. So,
well, I know one of the reasons that we put it on pause is because we were dealing with some random number stuff, and there were calculations, and you didn't really know how to proceed. So, if that is where we are, then maybe we look for some other avenue to work on instead of pursuing that path for a little bit. I see an artifact in Ash's background. Hey, it's gone.
Well, he's moving his camera around like a maniac. Yeah, and these are some of the notes that we had started taking. We do have some of the genetics in for breeding a horse. So you effectively, when you join the game, you would be presented with a you can select from 10 father horses, 10 mother horses. Choose between your favorites and then combine them to create a foal, and that's going to be your horse that you feed and train and race. With that, we've got some genetic algorithms that are 10 or 12 years old now in this code base.
Yay.
That have been just copy and pasted from that old .NET framework code base into a .NET Core project, and now upgraded to .NET 5 with very little modification. So quite happy about that. So what Clayton was alluding to, we had started looking into all of the logic behind feeding a horse, and whether the horse accepts the feeding, whether it's their favorite food, whether they reject the food, and what that does to their stats. So a horse has a variety of different statistics that help it run quicker, run faster, run on the inside, run on the outside. All of the things a thoroughbred horse might be known for in the bulletin. So the fun Seinfeld skit about he's a mutter, his mother was a mutter, whatever. So we got kind of tripped up on trying to inject some randomness in some of the results of a feeding session as well. So my thought was looking at the API. So this is what's running in the Docker container. Some of these are built out, and so we do have a female horse to choose from, a male horse to choose from, and then we can breed a horse at the start as well. We do have, I think we had started, there is a feed.
Right.
There are the horses that we started with. So a male horse, a female horse.
You know, you're using Ardalis's specification pattern in this, right? Mm-hmm. Is there, so to reduce the attempt at randomness, is there a way to have the specification pattern do a strategy?
Maybe.
Because if we could do that, then basically we just build out a strategy for whatever action we want to happen, and then for testing purposes we return a specific strategy every time, and then we can test. We can use that strategy, and then if we want to, we can swap it out for a different strategy, and then when we are ready for random, we could return a random from the list of strategies which represent the possible outcomes of the whatever.
I like it, which is why I'm capturing it. To finish out my thought real quick, and I appreciate it, so I don't want to elude it or make it seem that I don't. We have the horses, we have the feedings. I was checking earlier that we don't have a race defined. We don't have trainings defined. We do have a training defined. So I was wondering if it would make sense just to fill out just the basic things. We can race, and maybe it's just hard-coded for now that the user's horse that enters wins. And then that'll be...
It's a feel-good game.
Yep. And then with that, we can start to build up. We can go back to feeding. We can go back to training that, now we can insert all of the logic that we want to implement, and maybe a specification or maybe a strategy is something we can explore injecting into the specification, if that makes sense. Maybe not.
I mean, I'm good with filling out the very basic of all the options, because then you can play test a one case scenario all the way through.
I wonder what was the user.
Yeah, if you look at Uncle Bob's transformation priority process, I think it is what it's called, or premises, then that would make sense, because the transformation goes from a singular to a plural. So just making a single case for all of these things, and then adding the second and third and fourth, whatever cases later, would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I'm reminding myself what some of this data is.
It's a GUID.
I appreciate that. Thank you. It's helpful. Helpful as always.
I try. Ash, why can't you be wide enough?
Never mind.
He's got little tiny black bars on both sides, and I can't make them go away.
I'll fix it.
Now,
I don't think that's it. I think it's on my end.
There we go.
Your camera is slightly smaller than John's. I'll fix it later. It'll be fine.
So I accidentally hit submit twice. So we have generated 2 different horses. You can see that that was another thing. Some of the early code bases, one of my former coworkers wrote a random name generator. I've not ported that over yet, so that's just a big to do. But you see, we are getting random colors, and that's genetically based on the parents and all that fun stuff. A lot of that code, or a lot of the breeding code, I think a lot of that logic is complete. So feel pretty good about that. But if we said, I want to race this horse, we would need a race first, right? Yeah, so we would need to try it out. We would say that race and that horse, and then yay, they win. Oh, it's an integer.
Well, and it's certainly not the same idea as the horse. And then unable to run race because we haven't filled that out yet, right?
We haven't, yeah. So let's.
Who is the
create a
horse
race.
racing against? Do we have any concept of what a race is?
The horse is racing against the horse itself.
Yeah, and actually, I'm happy to go over that because I think we had said. I wonder if we've got notes on that, but I'm happy to have that conversation again because I don't remember.
I know we've talked in the past about filling out the field with randomly generated horses or stock horses, depending on the situation. But for your singular case, just to get something done, I think that just the horse just running to get a time and a win makes sense.
Yeah, actually, let's look at what is a race. Oh, we need a track too. I wonder if we don't have tracks.
Yeah, there's just for one horse to run in one race. There's a lot of moving parts. Mm-hmm. So if we just had one horse run, then we can work out, what we're doing for building out the time to make the furlong and so on and so forth. And then when we add multiple horses, the code will already be there. Because if we try to deal with the randomness of the horse's speed and calculations and all that junk, and we've got 12 horses running, it's just so much more data to try and figure out if it's doing it right.
How do you spell Churchill?
Churchill? Churchill? I think
it's with an H. No,
I think it's
no. It's
I don't know.
So very
I
helpful.
think you got
Ash.
it
Really appreciate that. Good grief. I'm failing. Why are you failing?
Oh, 10 of them are failing. What'd you do?
ID is not.
Don't do it.
Oh, right. Yeah, because it's not a. Wait. Oh, it's a track ID. Ew. Wonder what I was doing there.
Yeah.
What were you doing there?
So
I
you have
don't
to have
know.
you have to have an enum for the track. That doesn't make a lot of sense. I would maybe back that out. I don't understand that.
Okay. This is starting to.
Because you'd have to have like
sense.
track ID.Churchill, right? And then you would use Churchill in the actual data as well.
This is starting to come back to me a little bit. Where was I doing that? I was doing that because I don't remember. No, I don't remember.
It works. I'll take 5.
Is that right?
That's how you had it spelled earlier. Yeah.
Chat, help me out.
Yeah.
How do you spell Churchill Downs?
I think it's right.
Yep. Okay.
So you can only have 256 tracks then. Like you've got a hard limit there.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. It's
256
software.
is a lot, but
Okay. So then I can say we want a race. Yes, I was going to do that because of reasons. Freaking Ward. So now we can say race, and it's a race, and it's whatever.
Well, you still need the track data, right?
So a race has a track ID,
Right.
and a surface ID. I wonder if we've got a surface ID. We do. Just waiting to get sued. It'd be great.
Run for the tulips. I don't know.
Okay. There we go.
Yeah, you could change all the names. You'd have like Church Mound.
Yeah, see, this is So I this is where I was doing that. I was doing that so that, yeah. So might not want to do that for for track, but that's at least why that was there, because I think I just copy and pasted the classes, which is fine. If we need to change it, we can, because it's software, not hardware. It's easily changeable. We're good.
Well, at least you're passing now.
Guess I really didn't have to do that. But, oh well. Well, that's... yeah. So give that a minute, and then we should have a race at least. We won't have a horse anymore, so we'll have to recreate that. So chat, how's everybody doing? Freaking Ward is wearing his sunglasses at night.
So he can.
Wait, who just dropped? I missed it.
I dropped.
No.
There hasn't been a drop in a minute, so I figured why not.
And I feel like Surly Dev's Raspberry Pi must have rebooted or something.
Yeah, they're not attached at the moment.
No Surly Bot Army. Disappointing. Okay, so we are back with horses. We should only have the two. No, we still have. So we didn't lose.
Tres Amigos.
Good. Do we have our race now? No, don't power off. No. What are you doing?
Why are you shutting down?
The monitor said, "Oh, you haven't done anything in a while. Let's power off." We don't have any races though.
I think that your data did not reinitialize because you already had a database in the Docker.
That's what I'm thinking as well.
Well, let's fix that, shall we?
Delete.
See ya. Still trying to stop that date? Oh.
I did, Ward. I caught the chat with Jeff Sutherland. It was cool.
I was there.
What was it like? I missed it.
It was nice. Yesterday, John was like, "So, you guys up for a podcast tomorrow?" And I was like, "What?" Maybe John's trying to get in some PTO space so that we can have a week off or something.
Yes. I've also been working with I think maybe his assistant. I'm not actually didn't catch her role. But yeah, I've been working with them for 6 weeks, I think, to get this scheduled.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Wait, did that say not ready? Not yet available. That's disappointing. Oh.
Oh no.
I bet I don't have all the right data.
Broke
Fill in
everything.
What does a race need? Let's check that. A race needs
track ID. So you probably have a
name,
connection to a track.
I do have I do. I just don't. I don't have a name and a description or furlongs.
Well, but I'm saying like because they're virtual, if you put the ID on there, then it's going to try and pull that out of the database as well, unless you're telling it not to automatically
you're right,
do that.
Right.
And it's going to be like, oh, I can't do that.
That's a good point. I wonder.
No can has exist.
How does that work?
I don't know if you've got so where are you pulling the race data in? Are you doing an include in that specification to include the track? Because you're not doing eager loading, right? You're not doing lazy loading. You're doing eager loading. So
correct, but it's not. But this should be on creating. So I think I just need.
So you are missing the furlong, but
yeah.
12.
How long is it 12?
No, I want to say that was a number we were throwing around, but I don't remember if that's what it is. It could be anything at this point. It's just a decimal.
It is 12. Yeah.
Ha.
But I think you have a point. I just don't recall how that works.
I would think you'd have to connect, or you'd have to make the track first and then reference it, and it should wire it up.
No, wait, no, this.
Banana.
Everybody.
Well, I am no Wes because I cannot land on that circle twice. I got the one good one, and that's it.
All right, Ash, what's a surface need?
Surface?
Mm-hmm.
Power, RAM, hard drive space.
Yeah. I don't know. The dirt?
You're connected to. I'm asking you to look on your screen because you're connected via live share. You jerks, both of you. What's wrong with you? Never mind. Name. Okay. Name. That's okay.
Come work with us. We do pair programming.
and tear each other down the entire time. It's great. You'll love it.
So the Kentucky Derby, by the way, is only 10 furlongs.
My Google says it's 12.
According to Wikipedia.
I'm sorry. I didn't read enough. The Kentucky Derby was first run at 1.5 miles, 12 furlongs. I imagine if I keep reading, it says now it's 10. See, reading is fundamental. What was the other thing? Oh, track. So what's a track have? What does the Fox say?
Come on. Why can't I? I don't know where a track is, and it won't let me F12 on it.
Churchill Downs. Description. Nope. Boy, somebody's...
There we go. Name and ID. Name. My keyboard wasn't right.
Somebody's fan is loud.
You're welcome. Well, it gets hot in here during the podcast.
I couldn't hear you over the fan noises, sorry.
What?
I couldn't hear you over the fan noises.
What? Chat, if you're just now joining in, this is Live Coding Live streaming Wednesday, Live Coding Wednesday, here on the Six Figure Developer channel. We are working on some personal projects. This is Triple Derby, an online thoroughbred horse racing game written in C#.NET 5 on the back end for the API. There isn't a There's a React project out there for the front end, but it really doesn't have anything in it. If anybody wants to follow along at home, I can provide the link somewhere, that one, in chat. And would certainly love some contributions. There we go. Now we're building and doing the things. Now we probably don't have our horse that we bred, which is fine. We can breed another one. We can rebuild him.
Yeah, you can.
Our chat is not persistent. I shall fix.
Not that one. I didn't. That's the wrong thing altogether. There we go.
Not like this.
Not like that. Wait, you broke the chat on this? This was the one that was working, wasn't it?
No.
What are you doing? Okay.
The one that was working was the meetup, and you were like, ooh, I want that to be like the things and the stuff and the places.
Okay, so again, to start the game, you choose a mother and a father, and you breed your own foal. And then that will be your horse that you race and train and feed. Remember, when you are researching for gameplay and accuracy, if you want to get the correct terms for horse genders, turn on Safe Search.
Oh, no, that's a land.
And the correct name.
I've got to beat you here one of these times.
Yep. Now we've got. There we go. Now we have a race.
I dare you to get less points and be on the board than that.
That's a tough challenge. How about the Dorito chip? That should do it.
It's all about the icon you
fail me.
choose.
You can never fail me, Dorito chip.
And that should blow up because.
Or I failed to type it.
Top.
You know, it's a little dop a Dorito.
Little dop will do you? Is that what we're going on?
I was thinking about dinner. Sorry.
Oh, you're just dropping straight down. I
Boom.
think you're going to be higher though. You're going to be higher, not lower.
But you changed the rules on me now.
Yeah, we're playing drop golf. Lowest actual score.
Well, isn't that
You like
yeah? What's your score?
quintupled my score.
See, it's all about the confidence. You got to have the confidence to make it on.
Post, race, horse ID. Race, horse ID. Why? Why
You got
no?
some errors? Why'd you put errors in your code?
What's the controller say? Or, well, you were in the controller, weren't you? Execute.
No.
Oh, no.
Not even the right thing. Let's go to the seek. Oh, that's why it's not working, because I'm not actually running it in here. Let's run it in here.
You probably should run the code.
And then I can debug it instead of running the one in the container, which I can't debug. I mean, I guess I could connect to it.
But
yeah.
If you ran the compose here.
Whatever. That icon looks different. Why does that icon look different?
I don't know. What
What am I
icon is
connected
that?
to?
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's that. You can't create the DB because the DB is in the Docker. And you're not.
You can just run the compose, but run the DB. Only the compose.
Just up in your play. Just do a drop down.
But
nope. Oh well, yeah, sure. That one, compose.
no, you said.
Leave me
I'm already
alone.
running.
Don't tell me
I'm
what I
already
said.
running. I'm already running.
Well, you're gonna now run.
But I'm already running.
Well, stop.
I can't run anymore.
Stop and then run it again. I don't
You
know.
might
Just,
need to compose down.
just make it work, John.
I can't pull over any farther.
Hold up. Hold up. Hold up.
Yes. This is what it's like to work with these people.
Loads of fun. See, like when you're programming, we get to do a bunch of bike shedding. When I'm programming, your eyes
I
glaze
work on something
over
else.
and Ash just stares at the screen.
Boy, it got mad there for a second, didn't it?
Show
I mean,
enough.
when you're programming, there's a whole heck of a lot that's going on, and I'm just trying to follow along.
Me too.
It
Is
takes
that
like
running?
everything.
It's running. Okay. Do we have stuff? Do we have horses?
It should function, exactly like everything else. Yeah, you had your War Admiral and which I don't actually remember seeing those a minute ago.
Yeah,
It was just
those
to-dos.
are the default ones. No, those are the defaults.
So now you got to create, I guess. Is there a way to tell Swagger to auto-populate with specific values for those instead of whatever it deems?
I believe so. Yep, probably with like an XML comment or something. I know that you can provide it like with the sample stuff you can provide it. I think
Okay.
the examples. Yeah.
So you could set that up to pre-populate just to make your testing easier.
Where's the
Oh
fun
my!
one?
Look
What,
at
you
all
don't
that!
like
Look
these?
at all them schemas.
Now I can debug. Maybe.
Took it just a
Yay.
second.
Oh, you know what?
No, I don't.
You were
I don't have any other horses.
you're expecting more than one horse.
Save. Kablooey.
Well, you should stop expecting that. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I missed what the code was actually doing there.
So I've got my horse, right? And then I get racers.
Right.
And then I add those racers.
Well, but so racers should be an empty enumeration, and adding an empty enumeration should have zero effect, right? Like that shouldn't. I wouldn't expect that
With
to
foreign
break
key
it.
constraint race ID, the conflict. Table races ID. You
Was
may
this
be
creating a race?
correct? It should be creating a race run.
Is that what is happening? What are you saving?
Maybe do I not have
Yeah.
any conditions? I think we might need a condition.
If I know what that is.
I don't think it's anything yet.
Oh. Wait, how could it not be anything but you need one?
Need it, gotta have it.
That's a good point. Oh, it's an enum, but it's not a thing. A race run. is a condition ID.
I don't see a.
It should have been fine.
Virtual condition. But then you've got. Oh well.
All right. Okay. Let's go back to seek. Race
Couldn't
runs,
insert-
races, race ID. Races column. It is trying to create a race. Why is it trying to create a race? It should be creating a new race run.
Does it
Repository.
have-
What is repository? Repository is agnostic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, it's my.
Did you
So
make
is
any?
there a race?
Did you make any? Oh. Does a race have a collection of race runs? Is that a two-way binding or a one-way binding? No, it's a one-way binding. Okay, well that throws out that thought. Because it certainly seems like it's manipulating race and trying to do a thing.
Is it context? Then is there not something set up? Yeah. Okay.
You don't have a race run.
Yep. Which is fine. I don't really need one yet, or I didn't need one before, but I do now has a race.
I still don't see how it's breaking
Nope.
a race, though. But see if this has any effect.
Because it doesn't have the navigation property between it.
Oh, and you think because it was added to race run, it was just assuming it needed to create
Yeah.
the race?
Oh, I need to create a new race. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, that's my thinking. Yep.
With one. Don't need that at all, do I?
No.
No.
Because the race doesn't have a race run. The race run has a race.
That's disappointing.
Yeah. Broke all the things.
Yeah, where did that?
I don't know. What are you talking about?
Color.
Just double
So
click
in our
on the
modern
thing.
build extensions, doesn't like. Oh, it's happy now.
You didn't import
Oh,
system.draw or
no,
something.
No, I copy and pasted that file and forgot that I did that. Now we should be okay.
Oh, because the condition, you were going to create a condition.
Yeah, and then realized I didn't need a condition yet.
You laugh, Ash, but I've been typing and then Visual Studio just imports random stuff.
It's true. Imagine if you didn't have feeling in your hand when you're hitting stuff. Just all kinds of crazy stuff happens.
I mean, I don't have actual feelings, so there's that.
I know. It makes me sad.
Imagine if you didn't have a soul.
Send hate mail to John Ash. See? I can't even click on the right window. This one. Jeez. Oh. What happened to my
You
breakpoint?
still got an error. It might be race result.
Oh, 3.54. Nice golfing, Ward. That's going to be tough to beat.
Race ID. Oh, Race Runs has races.
Don't you hate race conditions?
Wah, 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 wah.
A better time would have been when you thought you needed to create the condition object, but it just occurred to me, so it is what it is.
So a race has a race run. A race run has that.
Wait, what was the error? I missed the error. Sorry.
Too late.
Okay. No worries.
Fine.
I'll tell you what the next error is going to be. Syntax.
How do I close? There we go. Jeez. Oh, no. Fine. We're running it. Oh, can't do that anymore.
Yeah, we got syntax over there.
Jerks.
So for anybody who's joined the stream recently, we're working on John's personal project, which is a racing simulation game for horse racing. Like the Kentucky Derby and whatnot. It's called Triple Derby. And what we're currently trying to do is put together a single race with a single horse just to test out that system. His project consists of a .NET API and a React front end. So it's... I don't understand the Twitch energy drink icon. That's weird to me. Anyway, so right now we're just proofing out the API calls to run the race, and we've run into a bit of a database issue, but that's what we're working through right now.
Race ID is 0. Why is race ID 0?
That could be a
Race
problem.
run. It sure is. Race ID equals race ID.
Come on, Entity Framework.
That was probably better than race ID equals 1 because, that's what I was thinking.
That would have worked for all existing conditions. Just saying. It would have passed the test.
And, they say minimum, now we're really talking about golf, minimum keystrokes to pass the tests.
Minimum viable product. Let's talk about minimum viable product for a while. You want to talk about that? Hey, look, it worked. It worked. It worked.
Ship it.
Winner.
The win horse is winner. The place horse is place. The play-by-play is an innumerable collection.
I feel like that maybe needs some work.
The race ID is 0. It's great.
What is going... Huh?
Race ID is a 0.
Right, but no.
Why?
Oh, because you didn't put a race ID in the race run result. Why did you two-string the...
I don't know. I don't remember.
And then you did like a two-string bang.
Mm-hmm. Because I think I wanted to like write out something. Yeah. I had plans to like write out the English verbiage play-by-play, and just hadn't gotten there yet.
Oh, as if you were an announcer kind of thing?
Yeah. Yep.
That's cool.
And that was actually what I was waiting for on Ardalis's specification project to get up to the latest and greatest, where he was entering, or where they were adding filtered includes. Like include .where, because I didn't want, because I think we had mapped out the race run ticks are going to be like every dice roll or every iteration of a game loop,
Right.
because 10 years ago or something, the idea was that we could replay a race with the frames and things, using X or using some kind of graphics library or something. But the play-by-play, I don't want to send back the entire collection of race run ticks, because that wouldn't be useful to...
Right. You just want the ones
instance.
with announcements.
Yeah.
Or, I guess, notes.
Yeah. Okay, so that's working-ish. What now?
Well, your 2-string clearly not going to work.
No, obviously. Let's add a condition, shall we? Just for grins.
So now we do need condition?
We will need condition.
Okay. It's the dirt condition.
Fast. Oh, wait, don't know what it has. What does it have?
Nothing. Haven't created it.
I feel like we've done this before.
I mean, you've done a lot of this before. A few times, probably.
It's true.
The trick with the condition is that you need some way to database-ize the... Alright. What is the bang doing?
Null forgiving operator. It's so I've got nullable turned on, so it does the nullable check. But at creation, it doesn't actually know. I can't supply it its known value here. So if I remove this, then it's going to yell at me.
Right. Yeah.
And I also have treat warnings as errors.
Right.
So this is saying, yeah, I know it. Yeah, I know.
And but you don't want to or can't make string nullable, so you're doing the bang.
Yeah.
That is a solution for one of my problems. I did not know that the null forgiving operator existed. Thank you.
And then, then you can, if it's not set, it'll blow up at runtime.
Right. I like that. I'm going to use it. Good. That actually fixes a problem that I was having in one of the Blazor apps that I was working on. I don't know if I don't think it's the game. Yeah. I think it's something for work, but still. Super fast.
Byte.
So yeah, somehow you need to codify the modifier to, the condition is fast, but how fast? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Some of that's going to be in the leg of the horse, right? But I would imagine some of it is also in the condition itself. Like, it could be soft, just meaning, the ground is somewhat soft, or it could be soft like sand.
Mm-hmm. Why is it mad? Yeah, and that was kind of, I think, some of the initial... Right. So like we had started that with the names being what would define that, but yeah, I think storing that as a value or something and then dealing with it appropriately. I agree. Does that make sense, at least naming wise?
Yeah, well, because otherwise you don't need an object. The condition enum itself works just fine.
Yeah, but I was a database programmer for long enough that I need the representation in the database, or I'm gonna lose it.
I thought we were working on this.
We are. But it's not solved. It's not a solved problem. What am I missing?
I don't know. Look what the error is.
I don't want to. DB context.
Surface cannot be added because reasons.
Seed entity. Oh, did I?
I should unmute myself and then I won't. You'll be able to hear me.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
not-
my
it's
daughter
a
was down here
condition,
and she was screaming, and so
condition.
it seems like the condition. So it seems like what you've built here, and again, I'm just taking a little bit of a stab in the dark, but the genetics of the horses involved might favor what it's running in what condition.
Yeah.
But then there may also be to Clayton's point, a degree of that condition, right? And then that might be.
Yeah, like if you had a horse that was a mudder, then they do better in the mud until up to a certain point, and then the mud would be just too much. Like if you're running in a foot of mud, it's still going to affect the mudder.
Like super mud.
Right.
But that may be too much. I don't like to tackle at once.
Yeah, I think it would be sufficient to start with just simply the condition and its name, and then apply a multiplier to the horse, and we could see how that affects the race times. Because in condition good, the horse is gonna, because we're not using random yet, the horse should run a consistent race. So then if we modify to muddy, then we should see how that affects the horse's race predictably.
Right.
I'm so confused.
And then eventually, once John finishes all of his API work, I'm going to convince him to change the front end over to Blazor Game.
Yeah, and there's no reason we can't. Let's do it. Word says ship it.
I think that was when
convert.
I think that was when it was broken.
Oh, it's broken.
Ship it.
Oh wait. Is color one of those? It is.
Condition red.
It's a condition ID, not a byte.
Ah. Right.
There we go. Oh, now it's mad. Oh, now it's really
It's
mad.
only a little mad.
Oh,
That's the same 10 failures you get every time you mess up database stuff. It's
Hey,
not
Long
going to change
Boolean.
it.
welcome. So it is live coding, live streaming Wednesday, where we work on personal projects. This week we are picking up a long worked project of mine, personal project, a thoroughbred horse racing game called Triple Derby. We've had this in some various stage of working for 10 years or so. Here is the repo for the .NET 5 API. If you want to follow along, if you want to contribute, we would love to have it. No value of name.
You didn't pass a name in. 163.
Oh, son of a gun. And since it's been a while since we've picked it up, we are struggling. And by we, I mean I am struggling to remember how to code, apparently.
That's my everyday. I haven't gotten to work on anything consistently enough to actually figure out how to code.
So it runs in the Dockers, and we can see that it's running in these Dockers now. We've got a Seek container, a DB container, a Redis container, though I can't remember if we're actually storing anything in cache, an API container, and an integration test container that is running at startup. And then once it completes successfully, it closes and stuff. So we can see here's the Seek container. It spun up, we're good. We can run a race. We can get an outcome. We can see that now we have a race ID, yay, and a winner, and an enumerable string of blah, blah, blah. What are we doing? What was the question?
The question was, what are we doing? Are you talking about what I was typing?
Yeah.
No, Ward just said, why not React and Blazor? Shoot, why not Uno? So I called him a blasphemer.
All of them. It's completely open source out there. Create a front end. Create multiple front ends. We know that Ward likes his React. We know that Clayton likes his Blazor. Eventually it'll simulate an outcome at a track. So this is based on 15, 20 years ago. There was an arcade game in a local establishment that I used to frequent that served alcoholic beverages, and it was called Derby Owners Club, and you could sit and race horses, and it was a lot of fun. And that was back when you could leave the house and go places and play arcade games. I haven't found anything like that in a video game format or an online game format. There's some things that are similar, but it was another project to play with and experiment with. So what we've had working for probably a decade is the breeding and genetics. So you start by picking a mother and a father, and then you create a horse using your ID and the mother and father that you chose, and then through a genetic algorithm it'll produce a foal with certain characteristics, and maybe you get a special foal that is a unicorn or a zebra or something like that. And then you feed and train the horse to increase its statistics and happiness and that type of thing. And we take all that into account. So there would be like a game loop or a game cycle that once per session, once per turn or something, you would race, feed, and train. And based on those outcomes, you would win money at the race. You would improve health, stamina, things like that, which would improve your standings in a race, which would give you more money. Then you could maybe buy a stable and breed another horse and keep multiple horses. Everyone is always really interested in when you get to create the glue factory or when you get to put a horse down. We're just now thinking about trying to flesh out all of the endpoints to actually make them work. And then actually go back and implement a lot of the logic that we had started on. We've got these notes. The reason we haven't picked this up in a couple of months is because we started trying to go through all of the intricate logic of when you feed a horse, when would they choose to accept the feed? When would you determine that it's their favorite feed, and how would that affect their different abilities, their speed, their stamina, their agility, their happiness, and what does that mean in the course of a race or a training session? That got to be really complex in thinking, and so we just put it on the back burner. Now I think we're just picking it back up, looking at those endpoints that we haven't flushed out yet, and just get something working, and then we can kind of go back. And we being the community, if anybody else wants to contribute, we can go back and implement the additional business logic, the additional complication of introducing randomness and making sure that the statistics affect gameplay and things like that.
Yeah, and the reason this is a 15-year-old project that seemingly doesn't have much done is because John uses it as a way to explore techniques and architectures and other things, and he's basically restarted it at every job that he's gone to. So I think this is probably the longest lasting one that you've had, because
I was gonna say
now it's in the community.
should be about time for a restart, don't you think?
I think preview 2 of .NET 6 is out, and Clayton really likes Blazor, so I think we need to convert the back end to .NET 6 and introduce Blazor on the front end.
There you go. Then you could get some stuff done. I got to figure out how to make a publicly available NuGet package. I've never looked at how to actually push it up to the NuGet repository. I add Blazor game up there and then pull it down into your project, start making a thing.
I've got something in NuGet. I wonder how I did that.
I'm sure it's possible. People do it.
Yeah.
I've never done a public one. All the packages I've ever made are
possible.
for companies.
I wonder if I can find it. How would I find my pack? Hey, there it is.
There's probably even just like
Apparently, I have
probably
two.
even either a GitHub or an Azure DevOps built-in pipeline or thing that helps you do all of that. Actually, probably.
And they're just forks of other people's stuff that they also abandoned. Or I guess they abandoned them before I abandoned.
Go ahead.
It is not yet multiplayer. That was one of the many lofty goals that we had. We're right now just trying to get any of the gameplay working. And by gameplay, I mean API endpoints that produce results. So we do have the breeding working. I think we have feeding.
We just got running a race working.
It's a game with Swagger as a front end. That's
Yeah. Yeah. Do we have feedings working?
we may have set up a simple case.
You said you had like an apple in there available or something.
Yeah, we weren't. I don't think we were doing any stat modifications yet. It was just the horse would accept the food, and that was about it, I think.
All right, so we know breeding works. Let's try feeding. Yeah, I honestly do not remember where this. Yeah, see, result 1. Yay!
Yeah, success.
I don't know what that means, but it returned a 1. So let's see what that means.
Ones are hardly ever bad.
That was feeding, right?
Yep.
And look, it
Accepted.
affected.
Yeah. Oh, so it increased the horse's happiness by a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think we need to work on that.
Look at that. It's always accepted.
Yeah, because there's feed response result equals accepted.
You're passing in horse happiness 0, 1, and 0.
Yeah, well, that's because it's a generic
Yeah, remember we were trying
interface
to
for the statistic modifier.
Min, max, and actual. I gotcha.
Yeah, this is where we started going cross-eyed and moved on to something else.
Yeah, I can see that.
So let's see.
Yeah,
so
it can affect
race
the horse
worked.
up to 1 happiness.
You got the full happy.
We have a training. So let's see if did we actually write out training? Does it work? Hooray!
Hooray!
Which is way more effective than a 1.
I'm gonna say that probably.
Yeah,
No,
it just says
no.
hooray. Which, for the purposes that you said right now, that's
Perfectly fine.
that's a good start. We're hitting the API, we're passing through, we're getting a result. Technically, I don't think we're. Well, no, you're adding a feed session there. Where was the training? Are we actually adding a training session?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're adding a training session. So I mean, that counts, right? And then later we come back and we go, okay, what does this training session actually mean for the horse?
Where's the database? Why am I not seeing it? There it is. No, that's a test. No, that's a test. That's the integration
This
test.
is only
Why is
a
that still
test.
running? 1445. Okay. 1445.
Twist is this arm is actually
Which
connected to a robot.
the concept with that statistic modifier thing is that we could just build as many of those as we wanted to for any statistic. And then like this training session, this training session is a whatever training session. It can affect these statistics in these ways. Game, go and calculate the actual results and then save. But that whole calculate the actual results thing, boy.
It is. It's in the system master for some reason. Whatever. So now we should be able to see the race run ticks.
View data.
Thank you.
Only 2
Yeah.
ticks? That's
We
a
must
short
not-
race.
Yeah, we must not have done
Because there's
a lot with racing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like in your notes, it's 12 ticks per furlong.
Yeah. We had a tick.
A tick. Okay.
So really, this should be per. Yeah, and so this is only my horse. And 1 tick. Yeah. Let's see. This is the note. So that's actually what I would want to come back.
Right.
Is
It's already a
note.
string, and you're doing a select
Oh,
many.
it is note. Okay. Right.
So
okay.
you just need to not 2 string. And then, not new list. And then probably not.
It's not. It's.
It should already be returning an IEnumerable. Oh, an IEnumerable char. Oh, because you're selecting many note. You just need to select note. You could do a where note not null or
Where
something
note,
like that.
yeah.
But
Where would be good?
There we go.
I feel like play-by-play needs to be an IEnumerable.
Hey, Sir Skull Legend. We are together well, technically Clayton is the one that is streaming.
Yes, it is coming off of my computer. But we're all 3. This channel is all 3 of us.
Yeah, so long Boolean in the game, yes, you own the horse. So and back to the original concept of the game from the arcade game was the first, like you would put in your dollar bill or whatever, you would choose a mother and father, it would produce your horse, and then it would actually spit out like a baseball card type thing with a barcode on it, and that would be how you would push that, you would plug that in, you would have that barcode read by the machine, and then it would know how to keep track of your horse and your stats and that stuff. So same concept here is that you generate your horse by picking the mother and father, and then you take your horse and submit your horse to a training, or you submit your horse to a feeding session and choose the feed or something like that, or you take your horse to feeding, training, or racing. Yeah, so we're looking at my computer technically it's streaming. Yeah, I think
It's complicated.
we like to do weird, complicated things for really no benefit. Where were we?
And
That
on
was
Wednesdays,
racing.
we all take turns, not necessarily in any particular order, but somewhere semi-randomly, working on various personal projects.
Yeah.
So
So,
whoever draws short straw.
Sir Skull, I am Clayton Hunt. The guy in the middle is John Ash, Jon, and then the guy on the other side is John Calloway, John.
So since we have two Johns, he is Ash.
Yes.
Yeah, you could come back to the bar with your good card and breed horses and order a beer and be in the presence of others. It was weird. But yeah, like 20 years ago, you could also find the cards on eBay. You could buy a special horse, like a zebra or a tiger or whatever. Because in the genetic algorithm thing, depending on the probability that your horse would create a special horse, then if you bred two different special horses together, then sometimes you could create another special horse, or sometimes it would completely negate it, and then you could actually not create a special horse. So some of those ideas are in place. Some of them are fantasy land that we'll never get to, but we're making progress.
Ash, you are my candy girl.
I don't know.
Figured the
I don't know what
horse
that
might
means.
like some sugar.
If anybody wants to follow along, we'd certainly love to have you. There is the GitHub repo. I haven't added the contributors. So we'll add the contributors to the bottom of that page as well. So if anybody wants to contribute, they can see their name up in lights. Was there horse hacking, like people trying to cheat the barcode system? I don't doubt it at all, which I think is a reason why. Like, there was also... So I guess we can show some of this. Based on the genetics of a horse, you could effectively end up with a no good horse that has a special color, because a horse has a collection of statistics, and those statistics are you could have actual values. So if your health is 50% or whatever, and you could have a dominant potential or a recessive potential, like you could earn up to 50 point or 100 points on something or 80 points on something. But if you had a horse that really had lousy speed as its potential, so it could only ever get 20% or 20 speed or something, then it would be a no good horse, but you wouldn't necessarily know that.
Yeah. So you could only find that out through the course of training and racing and training and racing.
Mm-hmm.
Or you
And
look
the
at
fact-
the API and you see what your stuff is, and then
Yeah, that's
Is there,
one.
is there like a hand method where you can like measure using your hands to like determine?
I thought that's how they measured the arc. Was
Oh, maybe.
no, it was in qubits.
Cubits.
I don't know. There is something about whatever. That is one downside to it being completely open source, that you could dig through the code and find out how to ensure that you get a special horse. Which is why we want to make sure that we're introducing some randomness.
Yeah, Long Bullion's
so
gonna hack your game so hard.
That's fine. Go for it. So in the breeding service, we do have the get random color. So we've got the idea of multipliers. If your father horse or your mother horse is a special, then your multiplier is 10. If only one of them is special, then it's 25. If the father is special, it's 50. So there's some interesting things in, and then we added in just the completely randomness with the random generator.
Which works great for colors, breaks everything else when we're trying to test.
No, this one works.
Oh, to use the testable random generator?
Yes. Random generator is testable because we can.
Well, but it's only the singular. It's only the singular case, and a lot of the other things are random upon random upon random, which is where we get into trouble.
Hey, Wesley's here. Welcome, Wesley. And yeah, so Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, we do the live coding, live streaming on personal projects. 6 p.m. Eastern on Mondays, or sometimes other special days and times, we do the live broadcast of the podcast. Today, we had a special live broadcast of the podcast at 6 p.m. Eastern, where we had one of the founders and creators of Scrum. So if you missed that, you can rewatch one of the replay videos here, or just subscribe to the podcast and wait for it to show up in your player in the next 2 to 3 weeks, I think.
Yep.
So not that this is the thing you're trying to avoid, but trying to, when you have random upon random upon random, couldn't you just sort of collapse that all down? And I think this may have been your idea about just selecting a strategy, but can you just collapse that all down and just recognize that it's all random? Like random upon random is just random, right? So you
right, but it's
to
like
specify at that point. You can't test until all of the random is worked out.
I think it was random across functions. So like there's a random chance that this function is going to get called, and then when that function gets called, there's a random chance that this function is going to get called, and when that function gets called, there's a random chance that it's going to produce a value.
Yeah, we haven't actually encountered that situation on this iteration of the code base.
Gotcha.
That's where we gave up
Previously.
5 years ago.
Yeah. Basically, so John just makes things hard.
This code base is all of the working pieces that we had previously and removed all of the unnecessary complication.
Yeah.
And by unnecessary complication, I mean that thing that Clayton was just describing, because that was madness. I think
tons of fun.
This implementation is a little bit easier, a little bit cleaner, that we just have a single random generator and we can plug that in. The suggestion that Clayton had earlier when we first started broadcasting this evening was since we're using Ardalis's specification pattern, introducing a strategy into the specification. I'm not sure. I want to think about that a little bit more.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if even introducing the strategy in the specification makes sense, or just introducing a strategy before or instead of the specification at that point.
Howdy Code with Sean. Welcome. We're working on John's Triple Derby project. Sir Skull, we do CSS.
He said, "Do
try not to."
I did say do. But probably tonight we're just going to work on the API of things. Whenever I'm working on Blazor Game, there will eventually be some CSS manipulation, and certainly for Ash's project, which is a lift fit log, sort of a exercise log of the lifting and exercises that you do, that would involve some CSS.
Yeah. Right now, because we're building the front end in React.
Yeah, long Boolean to address the strategy. The strategy for, I think what or Clayton, and maybe you can speak to it, what you were meaning, but my thought that you were talking about, I think in terms of feeding, we'll say, because that's where it all went off the rails a couple months ago, that determining whether or not returning whether or not the feeding was successful or something, we could just say pass in a successful strategy or a not successful strategy or something like that, or what was your thought, Clayton?
Well, so for each one of these things, there is some outcome that we desire, right? So this affect horse statistic is sort of a strategy, because we're saying, oh, well, so in the event of a successful feed, execute this strategy that calculates the results of that, right? For that, this is sort of a strategy, but it was basically just, we had 5 or 6 options for whatever it was we were working on back in the day, and those 5 or 6 options may end the path and return a result, or they might trigger another 5 or 6 options, and that would go 2 or 3 layers deep. And eventually, I mean, I'm sure that your goal to have that functionality in the system hasn't gone anywhere. So if we had the strategy in place, then it would be less, random generator calls everywhere, and it would be more, execute a strategy from this list. And then each strategy could have a weight or something, and then you just test that this single weighted strategy executor thing works.
Yeah.
And then after that, you're just adding strategies. You don't care about the rest of the functionality. You test that a strategy runs, and that's it. And maybe for your test, you could dependency inject the strategy executor and tell it which strategy to execute in the list, instead of having to do all of this random testing. Because even with a testable random number generator, the random testing is insane. And if we could limit that random testing down to just testing a thing that had the capability to choose from weighted strategies, then that simplifies the rest of the testing.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how... it looks like you might be able to determine that these are the things that I have highlighted. This is where we kind of went off the rails a couple months ago and didn't put this on the back burner. That these are some of the scenarios that we want to implement, and trying to do this in a test-driven development fashion was causing some heartburn. Especially since a lot of the problem that I've had with this project through the years, through the decades at this point, or decade at this point, is that I haven't sat down and thought through some of these scenarios enough. We're all kind of busy, so we sit down and just go, and that's not typically the best approach when you're writing code. So spending some time and thinking it through, I think would be incredibly beneficial, which is why right now we're just focusing on making sure that the endpoints return a thing or do a thing, and then we can go back and add the complicated logic piece by piece and in a manageable fashion, hopefully.
Yeah, and hopefully evolve that complication so we can add a little bit of complication and then a little bit more and then a little bit more.
Yeah, but I certainly appreciate separating that into a strategy or something that just separates that logic into a testable bit in that thing.
Yep.
Then we can ensure that is tested in isolation. Then we can create maybe an integration test that just verifies that it does the thing holistically that we expect it to do, and then we can just take it from there and build it up from there, instead of feeding encompasses this and all of the tree selections along the way.
Yeah,
that just gets cumbersome.
Well, and now that I've developed the concept on the fly, even if we don't use it for this, I think I'm going to make some kind of weighted strategy executor, just because I like that idea. Maybe we can do that next Wednesday. We can work on that. It'll just be a project in isolation on my GitHub.
If somebody wants to clip that real quick, we can just be sure to get a copy of that. Cool.
I mean, that's a cool utility to have in your pocket, right?
I wonder what extract save meant.
I don't know. You need to take better notes.
I do. I really do.
So how far are we on the APIs? Spookability? Nice.
I think we're done with all of them execute properly.
A thing? Okay, so then we're back to trying to figure out the next least complicated thing to tackle.
Yep. And actually, let me take what we have and check that in real quick.
I
Yep.
personally think like
What was this?
it might make sense for races to become a little bit more complicated, primarily because I feel like we could talk about the things that training and eating and feeding, but ultimately because racing is the end goal, until you understand how a statistic or something might affect the actual race, then it's really pointless to talk about modifying those statistics, right?
I agree. I also think that races is one of the things that we could add to without getting into some kind of deep discussion, because like a real easy thing to add right now would be to increase the ticks. We know how many furlongs are in the race. We know how many ticks we want per furlong, so on and so forth. So we could just add that extra data.
Yeah.
Oh,
sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna yes, long boolean, not a game strategy, but a programming strategy. There's the strategy pattern where you have a list of actions that can be triggered based on conditions in the application, and then your program would choose which one of those actions to execute based on those conditions. So generally you'd have like a dictionary or something, and you pass some data in. You go, oh, based on this data I need to run the third item in the dictionary, and that would execute a function. It would modify some data or whatever, and then return an appropriate value.
Which I think is a good thing here in this, because like you're talking random of random. Well, that all really rolls up into one random, which is what you're doing with the strategy pattern. Is you're defining all the different possible outcomes, and then we're rolling that up into one random call, and we then call that random call, which we can predict. We can use do testable at one random call, and then we can test that pattern or the ability to call that strategy, etc.
Yeah. The random that we care about is the random selection of that strategy. Inside that strategy, there's some randomness that we don't really care about, other than is that implemented correctly.
Yeah, this is not something like hit the space bar on the back half of the third furlong to jump over the hurdle so that your horse can win the race. Not that kind of strategy.
Yeah, design patterns, programming, the nomenclature is really just a label, a common label of common patterns and practices that developers use to communicate intent and use a shared vocabulary for more complex things that are common. Excuse me, sorry. Okay, so that was pushed up. We shall pull request that and get that in.
Look at you getting code written and pushed up by the end of the stream.
Before the end, way before the end of the stream.
I'm not so good with that.
Yeah, so I think focusing on the race and sort of beginning to flesh that out a little bit more is probably a really good spot. I don't know. We got a little bit of time. We could probably do a little bit more.
Yeah. Should we do more than a single tick.
Yeah, I mean, like that to me, that's
Yeah.
probably the simplest modification would be to have it do the, appropriate amount of ticks. Are we calculating the distance that horses run at any point yet? I don't think we are. Or well, distance 1. So you're assuming one unit of distance per tick at the moment.
Oh, it's not going to come out with any. Okay. I'm sorry, what?
You're assuming 1 unit of distance per tick for now.
1 unit of distance per tick. Yeah. For whatever that means. Yes.
Yeah. That's why I said 1 unit. Whatever.
Right. But we do have race, which does have another distance, which is furlong, right? Numbers of furlongs. Is that unit of distance related to that furlong by any stretch? Or we haven't defined that yet?
We haven't defined that, and I'm not sure we necessarily need to. I mean, we can come up with something. I think we also started tackling that, it is, so what is a tick cover? Is it 1 tick per second, 12 ticks per furlong? Yeah, I think that's what we decided, that this is what we were leaning towards.
Yeah, something like that. But if the furlong is the distance and the horse is going to travel some measure of distance based on all of the horse statistics and the conditions and everything else, then you can't really say that 12 ticks is a furlong. It would be, well, however far, however many ticks it takes to get that far for your horse. But for right now, we don't even care. We could use that because it was a squiggle, right? So it's a guesstimation. So we could assume for the moment that a furlong is 12 distance units. And then we can calculate that base calculation, and then later we can apply the horse statistical modifiers to that calculation using Waze.
I'm not ready to test for this yet. I'm just spiking for a second. Oh, no, that's unfortunate. I need a generic specification for ID. Apparently I have that already. Okay, cool. Never mind. We're good.
Everything's great. Yeah, long Boolean. John chose something that sounded fun and cool and not terribly difficult, and then turned it into a seemingly impossible problem to solve. So that's what we got.
So it was chosen because I really enjoyed that arcade game, and the three of us used to live in Louisville, Kentucky, which is the thoroughbred capital of the world. Or, well, shit, I think, is that right?
What?
I don't know. Thoroughbred capital of the world, or is that for sales? Something like that. I don't know. They like
Depends
their
on who you talk to.
thoroughbred horses.
Some might say it's Florida.
They would be wrong, but okay.
Just Florida's got a big horse community too.
What am I trying to do? Yeah, I understand. Oh, what am I trying to do?
Well, furlongs is a number, so you need to. It would be a for loop, not a each loop.
Correct. Was that what I was trying to do, though?
I don't know what you're doing.
So
I think we wanted to add a tick
yeah.
for each movement in the race.
yeah, so I think you want a for each loop, and we want to go. Right, for every as long as we're going to increment the distance. We're going to increment.
Ooh, do a 4 each in a range. Yeah. From 0 to furlongs.
So, yeah, I feel like this is we're
You can't actually.
I think a for loop. I think a for loop, and you just want to go up until, like the distance traveled is equal to or greater than a furlong, or the furlong, the number of furlongs, right, in a race.
Yeah, well, that'd be a while loop.
Yeah, I'm just. Yeah.
While total distance is less than furlong. Times furlong
You
distance.
could do it that way if you want to. Right. That's fine. But
You sound sad about that.
huh?
I don't want you to be sad.
I want him to
that's
be
good.
sad.
Just
That's
like
good.
that's fine.
Do whatever.
So then, so while we're doing this, right, we want to then add a tick in, and then increment the distance.
Oh no.
That's if we want to keep the. Yeah, actually, I think the while loop is actually a lot better, because I think what you may want to do is you may want to take the tick and remove it from the distance, right? Because like a race has distance and time, right? And so we need something to have the time element here, right? Like right now we have the length of the race, and we need a tick represents how much distance was run, but we need it to be related to time somehow. So I think
Well, it is. It's not like a tick on a computer, but it is. It's a tick of the race. So
tick of the race, correct? Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. So then that tick is the time. It's not necessarily so many seconds or whatever, but it's the time. And so the number of ticks run is the
time it took to finish.
Time it took to finish. And so if we want to basically in this initial one say we need to get effectively 12 ticks, we're shooting for 12 ticks per furlong, then we're going to have 120 ticks in this or no, excuse me, 120 ticks in this race.
Yeah, I think in our notes we misrepresented tick. It like a race consists of a series of ticks which represent the time it took for a horse to travel a certain distance.
Yes.
A division of the time it took for the horse to finish the race. And then each tick, the horse advances by a calculated distance, whatever that is. And then the race is over when the horse has hit the distance of a furlong times the number of furlongs. So right now we could say that a furlong is one distance, and that's totally fine. And there are 10 furlongs in the Churchill Downs race, and that's totally fine. So if a horse advances one distance per tick, then there should be 12 ticks. Later on, when the horse doesn't advance one distance per tick, then there would be more or less ticks depending on how the horse advanced.
Yep.
So it's just while total distance is less than the distance of the race, calculated as the number of furlongs times the distance of a furlong.
This is usually when the eyes start crossing.
Just go back to your code. It's real simple. We're going to keep it simple right now.
But long Boolean, yes, that keeping it generic is was another idea, and converting it to like a NASCAR game. IndyCar would be good. I think there were other ideas. I've forgotten. It's been a while.
Yeah, so we need a local variable that is total distance, and that's gonna initialize to 0.
Oh, total distance traveled.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, distance travel.
Right, and then we need a race distance, which is going to be
Race furlongs.
race furlongs for now. We're going to assume a furlong is one
yeah.
distance.
We can, yeah. I think that's fair.
Yeah,
It's a fine start.
we have no basis at the moment, so it's totally fine. So then while the distance traveled is less than the race distance, and I would actually make like a var race distance, even if you're just setting it equal to race furlongs, just so that later when you change the calculation, we're not having to change a whole bunch of code. You just change it in one place. So then why, and it reads better. So while distance traveled is less than race distance.
Here. Okay.
What's the red square? Okay, they just took a while to go away. Oh, hello. I hate that. See? Okay. And then we're just going to, so I guess move the race run ticks instantiation up above the while loop, but it's just going to instantiate to a new list. Nothing in it. Yep. Right, and then so now in here you're going to say race run ticks dot add the race run tick, the new race run tick.
No, you're getting the whole. You're getting too much. You're adding a whole list of race run
Right.
ticks.
Sorry. Yeah.
No worries.
Got it.
Yeah. Yeah, there. Not there. There.
Not like this.
Not like this. Two. There we go. Okay. And then another thing you're going to do is in the while loop above this add command, you're going to set the distance. So, like var distance equals 1. Yeah. And
So
this
right
would
now,
be,
right now it's 1 furlong is what. So we'll have 12 ticks.
right. So then,
Which is fine.
so distance equals current distance in your new down there.
Is it like more of like a distance rate, right? Or like distance per tick is really what this is.
I'm not sure I understand the question.
What is this?
So
property
current
represent?
distance. No, so the current,
This-
and I'm just saying. I think the name current distance is maybe a bad name because it's really a rate. It's not. It's like so it's a distance per tick. So I would
Well, yeah,
think that
it is the distance this tick.
it's the distance for this tick.
Yeah.
So, but that still is a rate, right? So like I would maybe name it to like either distance per tick, distance for tick, or something like that, or tick distance, or I don't know, current yeah.
But yeah, long boolean. Yes, this is essentially while horse is not done. We're gonna add a record.
Yeah. Which is why the last statement is very important, because we need distance traveled plus equals tick distance. Otherwise, infinite loop, which bad. And then I guess distance, you don't have that as a decimal, I'm guessing. Oh, it's a byte.
Interesting. Yeah, I guess technically you're not gonna. Whatever. I don't know. Whatever. We'll just leave it at 1 for now.
Okay. Yeah. However you want to handle that. I don't know what you want to do there, but
this.
so now
we
you should
probably
end up
want-
with an appropriate number of ticks.
Oh yeah, no, up above that too. Yeah.
Well, so if you're gonna have an iteration variable, then you could turn it into a for loop. Still have the condition based on distance traveled less than distance race, and then in the iteration section, you could do iterations plus plus and distance plus equal tick distance.
Oh,
That's what I was originally trying to say, but not so eloquently.
Yeah, so this would be I. I mean, you could say iterations, or you could say I, however you want to do it. And then this
the
would
number
be,
of iterations
instead
are
of
like
I
the-
less than upper, it would be distance traveled less than race distance.
No.
Yep, and then semicolon. And then I plus plus, comma, and then tick distance, or sorry, distance traveled plus equal tick distance. So you might need tick distance over here in your I equals 0. Do a comma there and do decimal tick distance equals 0. Yeah, and then
It needs to be 1.
yeah, you need a decimal. You just need to say it's a decimal. You're not. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I would even personally define it outside of the for loop. But
What's it complaining about? Can you not do a comma? You can do a comma in the thing, I thought.
so I would define it outside the for loop because eventually that definition of what that tick distance is going to be changed variable based on the horse's statistics.
Yeah.
And so you're going to need to be setting that anyways ahead of time.
Well, you would set it in the tick. You would set it inside the loop. So you would define it as part of the loop definition. Because it doesn't need to exist outside the loop.
Interesting. I see. So you're saying any particular tick could have a different tick distance.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the horse tripped on the third tick. I don't know. There's
Fair
some
enough.
variation per tick, or there would be. How do you do the multiple variable
long
declaration as part of the for loop?
Yeah,
there?
long boolean. One of the ideas was that we would collect this information and save it to a database or something, so that we could replay it, so that we could make sure that it's being passed to a graphics engine that could animate it, something like that. Yeah.
Just to keep this simple, because I can't remember the syntax for this, because that's going to get mad at you. Just change int to decimal, and then down in tick equals I, you would just do tick equals int I. Change int to decimal. And then you can m or 0.0 or whatever makes you happy. And then down on line 107, what are you doing? No. Keep the comma. Everything's happy. Down on line 107, it would be int I, like cast it to an int.
Tick distance also needs to be positive, so otherwise
Too
you'll
many
have an
too many parens.
Oh.
What's it griping about?
so tick distance needs to be
Oh, it's a byte, not an int. Okay, there you go. And then you can delete that. And then so I guess I might need to start at 1. There we go. There's a way to do different variable types. I'll have to look it up.
so just tick distance. Otherwise you'll have an infinite loop here. Because
well, no. So he needs to calculate tick distance at the top of the for loop before the race run ticks. This is where you would calculate it. The up above is just the declaration. We're setting a value, but it's just the declaration. I guess you can get rid of the value even, since it's saying you can. There you go. And then so there's where you would do the calculation each time just before you add the tick, and then you can get rid of the last line in the for loop 112. You can delete that because that's handled by the iteration portion. Slightly unconventional for loop, but there you go.
Anybody want to take any guesses before we hit play? You try to maximize tick distance. Appreciate that.
So it's gonna. It's gonna be 12. So, or 10. Yeah.
If we've done everything correctly, yes, it should be,
It'd be
12.
10.
If we've done, yes, 10, because 10 furlongs. If we've done things incorrectly, it's going to be a infinite loop or something. What are you doing?
Just,
Oh, well, you could just take tick distance and cast it as a byte instead of doing all that.
Well, but I'm not sure that that's what I want to do with those yet.
Okay.
Yep.
So I'm giving them well-named variables so that we can.
Yeah.
Same reason you said to change something.
Yeah.
Race distance to race furlongs.
Yeah, current distance to tick distance.
Okay. Yeah, I since I told you how to write the for loop, I personally think that we're going to end up with the proper
Actually,
10.
I think distance traveled does make sense then at that point.
Well, so that's total distance traveled.
Yeah. No. So I
think that's what the race run tick horse is.
It could be. I mean, that I guess that part is up to you. But I thought we wanted to know how far the horse traveled each tick.
Yeah.
Maybe I honestly don't remember. I
mean,
think I have
your
notes on that
value
somewhere.
types are not matching, so it doesn't really matter at this point. We'll have to change something at some point, either our perception or the values types. But
Yep. So you're saying we're gonna take
we're gonna delete
drugs?
it. We're gonna restart it as a .NET 6
change-
project
Oh, that's true. Probably.
in Maui or Uno or something.
Very likely. Yeah.
Everybody, cross your fingers for 10. We want to have 10 ticks. I can't count. How many is that?
1, 2,
It's
3,
like 10.
7, 8, 9, 10.
Bingo. First try.
Winner.
And I even got to get John to type a complicated for loop. Woohoo!
Does that mean you'll hire me now? Because I think wasn't that one of the criteria?
It's the only criteria.
If you can write a for loop. Completely untested. Let's throw it away and start over.
That's cool. You do you.
Yeah.
Do we even-
I don't
do we
even know
even
that I
need-
like the for loop the way we have it currently. So
Do I even need I anymore? We're not using I for anything.
Tick.
Where?
Tick
yeah, it's the
equals
tick number.
I. It is the tick index.
Oh, you're right. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, that's the whole reason why you turned it into a for loop, was to get that
yes.
iterating tick index, so you don't have it iterating inside of the while loop, which I think is a little obtuse. But
You're a little obtuse.
It's just the for loop is designed to already handle iterations, whereas the while loop does not. Any while loop iterations have to be external to the while loop's internal functionality. So we just packed them into the for loop because that's what it's designed for.
yeah,
And
I don't know.
there's a way to get different value types for the variable declaration in the for loop. I just can't remember what it is.
for loops though generally are like a fixed number of iterations. whereas this is an unknown number of iterations.
Which point? So
I thought it was pretty clear.
Look up Uncle Bob's transformation priority premise, I believe is what it's called. And if you look in there, going from a singular execution, and then you transform that into a while loop, and then that gets transformed into a for loop. They're just the next step in the evolution of the code.
So you jumped.
For anyone following along at home, here's a link to Uncle Bob's transformation priority premise.
Oh, good. I remembered the name correctly. But we needed the code to do an iteration outside of the loop. So the distance was fine because that was internal to the loop. The tick distance. But the tick index, represented by I now, is external to the loop. It is used inside the loop, but it needed to exist outside the loop because it had, from the loop's perspective, a global existence.
No, I understand what you're saying.
So, but using the for loop, we've now put it into the lexical scope of the for loop instead of having it external to the for loop. So we just upgraded the while loop to be a for loop.
And broke 4 tests in the process.
It's not even running tests. What?
It is. Totally is.
There are no test coverages for what we just did.
No, but the race service is tested.
But it doesn't look like it's even making it into... So what's going on? Hover over the X. Reference not set to an instance. So it's saying... It must be saying service is not set to an instance. That, or what's service.race do? Go to service.race.
So what?
F and 12 on the problem. There it is. So race.furlongs. Race is not set to an instance.
Yep.
We need to get the race.
Oh, I didn't set up get. Yep. Show enough.
Who's the baddest mofo in town?
Watch your mouth.
You went from
I know.
The Last Dragon over to Shaq.
Shaft, not
Shaft.
What's wrong
Shaq,
with
whatever. It's close enough.
Race specification?
Like the movie that never happened, Shazam with
Totally happened. Totally happened.
I mean, pretty much everybody remembers that it happened, but apparently it didn't.
We're gonna return a new, not a callback. Return async.
I feel good now. I haven't pulled out that for loop in like 10, 15 years.
I still don't like it.
What race is this?
It's something I've only ever done in game programming.
Yeah, well, because you don't generally use a for loop in a situation where you have an unknown number of iterations.
Well, maybe you don't. I never know how many iterations my for loops are doing.
Have you met Clayton? Do you not understand that he likes the complicated?
So have you not done the infinite for loop?
I mean, not on purpose.
No, I haven't done an infinite for loop because I only use for loop when
you should try for open paren semicolon semicolon close paren.
You should try something.
But I don't want to.
There we go.
Yeah. So like, if I want to have a, an infinite loop, do until true, or do yeah.
Oh, but you're then
do a while
triggering an
true or something.
unnecessary. Excuse me. You're
Careful,
triggering an
careful.
unnecessary evaluation.
What do you mean?
So if you do 4 semicolon, then you skip any evaluations. There's no evaluation to happen.
Okay.
So it's
Fair.
more efficient than while not true.
A more efficient infinite loop. Next time, I need a more efficient infinite loop.
We
I'll
want to
let
make
you
sure
know.
that
Look,
our infinite loops
if
are
you're gonna-
efficient.
If you're gonna optimize, you need to optimize
At
the code that's
bottlenecks.
being run most often,
At
which
the
is an
bottlenecks.
infinite loop.
Otherwise, it's no point in optimizing.
No, you need to preemptively optimize.
No.
Have you learned nothing? With that, folks, it is the top of the hour, and it is pumpkin time, and we can go on yelling at each other all night long. This is what happens when you have worked together for far too long and worked on various projects of various sorts for far too long. Chat, we do appreciate you hanging out with us and joining in the fun. If you do want to play along on the Triple Derby project, here is a link to the API. We would love your contributions and feedback and thoughts and rants and anything and everything. We will be back next week, Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern for the live broadcast of the podcast, and 8 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday for live coding. And we spend our time on various personal projects. Triple Derby, what we were working on tonight, is just one of those. We might work on Ash's next week on his Lift Fit Log fitness tracker.
Yeah,
so
try to do that.
Be sure to join us Monday 6 p.m., Wednesday 8 p.m. Eastern, and like and subscribe and do all that fun stuff. Anybody have any Twitch channels they would like to raid? I haven't looked. I'm looking now. Looks like Fierce Kittens is just chatting. Tim Baudet is speedrunning with eggs. I don't know what that means. We haven't checked out what Fierce Kittens is working on. Let's see what she's working on. With that, we will say goodnight and see you guys later. See chat later. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.
Right. But